Hello, hello, my friends. How is everyone doing today? I'm just going to wait maybe a minute or two to see if anybody pops on. I know I started later than usual. I think I'm going to start at 10 a.m. Pacific time on Monday mornings from now on because otherwise I'm racing to get home from my aquafit class and I don't want to, um, number one, get in an accident, and number two, be late to start. So I changed it to 10 o'clock and we'll see how that works out. I'll give it a minute or two before we get going. All right, let's see if this starts to go. If anybody's here, would you mind giving me a thumbs up if you can hear me? I don't know why my voice is scratchy. Maybe because I haven't been talking at all this morning. Okay, let's see. I'm going to try one thing here before we get started, friends. Oh, I want to make sure my Wi-Fi is playing nice because on Friday, it was not. So let's see. Okay, I want to make sure that sound is working. It sounds like it is. I opened up another window to check that. And okay, I don't know if anybody's going to be able to pop in this morning, but I'll get started and then, you pop in when you pop in. So I know 2 weeks ago we were supposed to work on this little uh, notebook I made for holding my Kendra's Car Challenge sketches, but I got sick and then my grandbabies got sick, so it was a no-go for the last 2 weeks. So I figured I better get to that before it gets much later in the year. So I thought, I'm going to put a little notebook together so that I can hold my sketches and then any samples or other papers. And I kind of threw this together and I can put each of the sketches in here. So I always print the sketches as close to A2 size as I can so that I have them here and I can look at them. Because sometimes I'll just work on one particular sketch when I find that to be my favorite one. So let me just flip through this real quick. And then we'll kind of go through how I make this. And I did make changes on some of the cuts I made because I wanted the cover to be a little bit bigger because see, because this is so thick, these kind of stick out a little bit here. So let me get back to flipping through here. So I have 15 pages on here, and then these coils are 1-inch coils. Probably could have used a size up, but that's what I have. So that's what I used. And these papers I used were a recollections paper pad I had in my stash. See? So that's my little notebook. So I thought I'd make another one just so you can kind of see the process that I went through. And that way I'll have an extra one. Who knows? I might give one of these away. We'll see. So let me show you to start off with. Um, I use the papers from this French lavender paper pad from Michaels. And this was last year, 2024. I bought this last year. And you know what? I don't think the whole thing is showing on screen. So give me 1 second. I might have to adjust. No, I think if I move up a little bit, it shows, right? So this is the paper pad I used. And I went ahead and cut all my pieces, and I'll go over how the dimensions I cut them at and everything. But I didn't put anything together quite yet. So let's start with our covers. So let me get those pieces. I have everything off to the side here. So I have a front and a back cover. And then I have 2 pieces of cardstock. I forgot to grab my scoreboard. So let me grab that. So the chipboard I cut at 5 1/4 by 7 1/4. And the cover, the cardstock that's going to be the front cover and the back cover, I cut at 7 1/4 wide by 9 1/4 tall. That way, when I place this on here, I'll have an inch all the way around to fold over on. So let's do that. And then I already added score tape to the back. I'm just seeing, making sure. Sometimes there's a specific print I want, but this one I know this little piece that I cut off, I did that intentional because that will be what folds over. So let me grab my scoreboard to show you how I attach this. So I typically put my paper in here. Then I have some like spacers, and these are just out of leftover chipboard. And these are 1-inch spacers because I'm going to have a 1-inch border around the chipboard. And so I can just fit it in there, and that will make it easier to line up. Good morning, Froggy. How are you today, my friend? And so you can use score tape or liquid glue. I kind of do a combination of both. So I typically use a little bit or a lot of score tape on the covers. And then, give me 1 second, I'm missing my little glue bottle because I use a different glue for my little notebooks or mini albums. I'm doing well, Froggy. Thank you for asking. I use PVA glue. I have this big bottle. Oh, excuse me. I have this big bottle, and then I just put some in the little bottle, which is easier for me to handle. So what I do then is just add a little bit of liquid glue around the edges, just so there's a little bit more grab. And of course, it's starting to clog up. I haven't used it in a hot minute. And it doesn't, I mean, you could just use a score tape here. I sometimes forget and I just use the score tape. But there, whoops, let me make sure my paper is all the way to the top edge and the left edge. And then I can just lay this on here. And see, because my spacers were there, I have a nice 1-inch edge around all 4 sides. So I'll do that on my second cover. Putting my spacers again. So I was planning to get everything prepared yesterday for today's live, but I had the most horrific migraine all day. I woke up with it and it just knocked me out for the entire day. There was no getting anything done, no matter how much I wanted to. So I got up a little early today and prepped in the morning. This is not going to play nice today. And prepped in the morning. So I was able to get all my pieces kind of prepped. And about, let's see, I got in my craft room at 5:30. And then, oh, this is completely clogged up. I was pretty much done prepping by 7 when I had to head out. So it didn't take me horribly long to get all my pieces together. All right, let's see if that fixed it. Oh yeah, better. Okay, then I'll put this down here. Okay, Froggy, see you in a minute. Alrighty, so once I have these done, then I bring in this little self-healing mat. I got this at the Dollar Tree, so I can just use that right on my scoreboard. And I bring in this tool. I think, yeah, I got this on Amazon, and I forgot to link stuff. That's the one thing I did not remember to do. But I'll go back and link to anything that I can find. For example, this little tool for cutting my corners. So I just put that along the corner, and this comes off. And that way, when I fold it over, I get a nice clean edge. So I do that on all 4 sides. And I put a brand new blade on my little tool here because I had been using an old one, and I noticed it was rather dull. So I did change that out this morning. And I know there's a lot of different versions of this tool. There's plastic ones, but I got this metal one because when you're cutting, at least for me, sometimes I slip and I gouge into the plastic, and I don't want to do that. So I got this metal one, and it seems to be working out great. You don't have to have one of these. You can just like cut your corners off. Just make sure you leave a little bit of space there. I'd say that's about maybe 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/16. But I like this. I like this tool because it makes it so that all my sides are trimmed equally. All right. So there's those 4. Then I kind of try and train my paper so it knows it's going to be folded over. Hopefully it doesn't crack. And usually the recollections paper doesn't, or the pattern paper anyway, doesn't really crack. It's not super thick, so it works out. Alrighty. Then I need to get my score tape. Grab some here. And let me get my bone folder. I forgot to get that, guys. All right, if I could find the end here. So what I do is I put the score tape along the top edge of the pattern paper on the 4 sides, because then I'll put glue along the bottom half. So like I said, I do kind of a combination of the two. And we're not going to finish this today. So we'll try and get at least a couple of pages done. And then I'll come back next week and we'll finish it off then. But I know I'm not fast enough to get this all done in an hour. Okay. Now, can you believe, friends, we're already in August? Oh, not ready for all the holiday prepping to begin. My husband tells me, just don't decorate, don't do anything. And it's like, no, I have to. The grandbabies want the house to be festive. Okay. So I added that to all 4 sides. Then I'll kind of burnish it down to all 4 flaps. And you don't really have to leave a whole inch on each side. You could probably get away with 1/2 inch, but I like having that leeway because then when I add the piece to the inside of the cover, I have a little wiggle room in case I cut too small. Okay, so I typically start with the long edges. So with these sides, I fold those down first. So we'll start with one. Whoops, forgot to take the tape off. Let me take that off. And I run a bead of the liquid glue right along where the chipboard and the cardstock meet. And then I kind of just ziggity zag on that open space. Then I just fold it over, press it down, and then I can burnish it. And if any glue seeps out, I just kind of clean it up. So I usually end up with sticky fingers when I'm doing any kind of mini album or notebook. And again, excuse the scratchy voice. I have no idea why it's like that. Hopefully it clears up soon. All right, again, another little bead here. Now, I don't know why I came up with this. I don't know, I was just laying in bed one night, and I normally store all my sketches in those little plastic sleeves along with all the pieces of pattern paper or matte layers and everything I cut. And those sleeves work perfectly, but I thought it'd be nice to have a pretty little binder to put maybe some completed projects in for each quarter. So now what I'm doing is there's a little kind of triangle here, so you kind of want to fold it in before you fold these little shorter flaps over. So I kind of either go in with my bone folder or sometimes just my nail. Right now my nails are too long. I need to go get those cut. Then I can go ahead and fold this in. All right. And if you'll excuse me, I'm going to aim the fan at me because I am warm in here. My craft room is always warm. It's the farthest corner of the house. So I don't know if that's why the AC takes longer to reach in here, but it sure does take its time. And I shouldn't complain. I know a lot of people don't have AC, so they only cool down with a fan. Okay, and then we'll do our next little flap. Now, what usually takes me the longest when I'm putting something like this together, any project, is picking the papers. Oh, I have such a hard time because, you know, if I bought paper, it's because I liked it and it was pretty. And so then I have a hard time deciding which one to use. But I think because I was in such a rush this morning to hurry up and be prepared, I went through it pretty quickly and chose papers pretty quickly. All right. So then that's our cover. All right. So I'm going to do the same on this one. And I'm going to try and go a little faster so that we can get to the next part. And I like doing different kinds of crafts. My sister did the paint by number type thing. She also did diamond dot projects. So I went to Michael's a couple weeks ago and I got a little paint by number kit on clearance. I think it was $5 just to try that out, something different than what I typically make. I won't be doing that on video. It's just something for me to do on my own. All right. And more of this PVA. This PVA glue is perfect for like book binding type projects because it's an archival adhesive. And it says, let's see on the label what it says. It says archival adhesive, dries clear, remains flexible, which I think is important, especially when you're doing like a mini album, because some of your pages, you get those, you know, if you do any of your signature pages, you might add, you know, like a waterfall feature or different pages that flip and turn. So the flexibility on your paper is really important. Excuse me. All right, let's get this side done. And I'll tell you one thing though, when I'm doing a project like this where I am taking a lot of release paper off, I end up with release paper all over my floor because I just throw it off to the side or brush it off my desk, and then I got to clean it up. And I just cleaned up my craft room too. I cleaned it up on Friday before we went live for my D-stash boxes. And I mean, I cleaned it. I cleared off counter or desktops and all my work surfaces and put things away where they belonged. And this morning, when I got everything out, I now have stuff all over the place again. But isn't that the way? Isn't that just the way when we craft? I'll clean it up again when we're done. Okay. All right. So we have our covers and they're the same. I use the same paper for my front and back. So now I got to add my inside covers to these. So I cut some of the pattern paper at 5 1/8 by 7 1/8 so that some of that wraparound still shows. There you go, see? And I usually do, again, a combination of score tape and liquid glue. So I kind of go around my borders here. All right, and then typically maybe 1 or 2 in the middle. I'll just do 1 today. And then once I get those all adhered, I'll burnish it so that the adhesive sticks well to the papers. I was watching Mommy Guide live this morning. She's doing her CETA series again, Craft Every Day in August. And she's doing like different days crafting information for crafting. Like today was all about adhesives. What kind of adhesives serve for what purpose. So I'm going to have fun watching that. Okay. Hey, welcome back, my friend. All right. Burnish that down. Then I can add it to, and I don't think, oh, I am going to need my scoreboard. I was going to put it away, but I'm going to need it. So I try to remember to kind of test it and dry fit it, make sure it fits on there. Then I can remove the release paper. And sometimes I'll only take off a portion. So by that I mean I'll take off one little end here and fold it over on itself. I should probably take the center one off. And then whoop, here I am going to add a little bit of liquid there. Then I can kind of dry fit it here. Yep, that works. And I can lift that one off. And oops, I forgot to take one of the sides off. Let me do that here. A lot of my crafty friends aren't here this morning. I'm wondering if it's because I started at a different time or because I canceled 2 weeks in a row. I felt so bad about that, but you know, life happens. And when grandma is called upon to help with sick grandbabies, grandma has to go. Or when I get sick. Okay, so there's the inside of that cover. Okay. Yeah, this way. Okay, so then I'm going to do the same on the back cover. And that for this one, I just made everything pretty much, you know, mirrored as far as papers are concerned, just because I want to, I wanted to make it easy. Again, that's probably why I was able to make all my paper choices so quickly this morning. Okay. Oh, I didn't dry fit it first. See, I forget. Sometimes I just start going, and I forget. Luckily, this one fits. And did I take the adhesive off this edge? I did not. And I did not put liquid glue. Oh my goodness. Well, it doesn't really matter. It'll stick. It'll really stick. Okay, so we have our covers done. So our next step is to start working on the pages, because this is going to be bound with my cinch, so it'll have that wire binding. So let me grab all my, oh no, before I do pages, I want to do pockets on the front and the back. So these two pieces I cut at 6 by 4, and then I'm going to score at 1/2 inch on 3 sides. Then I'm also grab my hole punch or my circle punch. I'll do a little notch in the top. So let me start by doing my scoring. And this one I'm going to score with this decorative portion to be the top. So this is going to be the bottom. I'll score there at 1/2 inch. Whoop, that went crooked. And then 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. And then here, I could use that tool again to do like a little corner, but I am just going to miter this with my scissors. And I will kind of miter the corners up here too, so they don't show when I fold it over. Okay. So then, should have scored on the other side. Where is my bone folder? Here it is. Okay. Now, if you have any like overlap here in your corner, see how I have some? I can trim more off. I don't want those to get stuck on each other. So that's better there. And paper pieces on the floor. Okay, that'll, why does that look crooked? Did I score it crooked? Maybe. We'll see. So that I'm going to attach. Oh, I did. I scored that totally crooked. Oh my goodness, friends. Why do I do these things? Did I not cut this at 6 inches? 6. And this, oh, this is slightly bigger than 5. That's what I did wrong. Well, good thing I have more paper. I'll do this one first. So I'm going to go in at, let's see, 3/8 instead and see how that works on my fold. I can do 1/2 inch on the bottom, that's fine. And I just want to see if I do 3/8, that's going to be the right, because I cut this in my brain, these were 5 inches wide. That's my pages, not my covers. Okay, so if this folds, this, let's see, and I fit it there. Yeah, should be about 1/2 inch there. So if I do one side at 3/8 and one side at 1/2, should be fine, right? Is that 1/2 inch? How much is that? Nope, it's 3/8 on both sides. Okay, 3/8. Before I trim. Yeah, so 3/8 on the sides. Since I cut this at 6x4, the sides I'm scored at 3/8. I'm still gonna miter these corners though. Hi, Carol, welcome. Okay, and that'll work for my corners. Oops, I have to miter these top ones so they don't really show when I fold it. I swear, you guys, anytime I make anything, you see all my mistakes, and it feels like I make mistakes on every project, basically. All right, let's get some more score tape on here. And I have this score tape in lots of different widths, lots and lots. And guys, I finished getting my pegboard all set up. So that part of my craft room is set up. I've got a lot of my containers and drawers already labeled. I've got, it's almost completely set up. I've got a few little finishing details. Oops, I want to do the bottom first. So we'll go to our bottom and add a little bit of glue, liquid glue that is. The pegboard's amazing. I'm so glad I decided to do that in here because it just helps to keep things up and off of the my work surface and to open up some drawer space. So for example, I have my Cricut mats on my scoreboard. I have a bunch of buckets holding watercolor pens and brushes and my glue gun, and it's perfect. I just love it. My husband did a great job getting that up there for me. Very lucky to have the man. Okay, once I have that inserted, I can add it here the sides. Hi Shay, how are you? Welcome, my friend. So I was saying at the beginning, I don't think anybody was here yet. I don't know why I start talking. People aren't here. But my lives were normally at 9 a.m. Pacific on Mondays, but I'm going to change it to 10 a.m. Pacific because I go to my water exercise classes on Monday mornings, and I was racing to get home. And I don't want to be racing. I don't want to be late. I don't want to get in an accident. And I forgot to do this. See what I mean? The good thing is this little circle punch has these notches on the side that show where it's halfway down. So, ta-da! Done. So there's one cover. And I'm so sad I cut this one wrong. I can fix it, right? I can fix it. I'm just going to do that. So 3/8 and then 3/8. I'm going to leave that like that. 3/8 and 3/8. See if it'll work. It may be a shorter pocket because I'll probably have to adjust there because of the miters I did, but that's okay. It can be a shorter pocket. So, yeah, that'll work there. So let me kind of score it. A little bit higher. So our pocket will be a little bit shorter, but that is not a problem. Yeah, that'll work. That'll be fine. So I'm going to trim. I'm going to leave it. So before I forget, I will put this here to do my little circle notch. There we go. And I can do all my little score tape stuff and get it done. You didn't know what those were. Let me know. Sometimes I read the chat after I've already said a bajillion things, so I forget what I've said. Okay. So we'll get this one attached as well. And start with the bottom. And I'm going to add liquid glue. That kind of helps to secure it too. The liquid glue has a real permanent grip. Okay. So once I get that where I want it, I can burnish it. And then we can attach it from the sides. We'll have our front cover and back cover pockets, just in case you want to add any extras in there. Okay. All right, front back cover done. Oh, that took me a minute. All right, I'm going to take a real quick drink, guys. Oh, yeah, I didn't realize it at first. So there's these little notches, right? It's hard to see on camera. I don't think you can see them. They're right here. And so that's, and also back here, if you line up here on these lines, which you can't see because it's black, that's the halfway point. I didn't realize that at first, but figured it out eventually. Okay, so our pages. I got all my papers cut and ready to go. So we'll start, and what I did was kind of alternate where it was a lighter color of the pattern paper, then more of the darker. This is all purples, friends. then kind of a lighter and a darker, so forth. So I alternated those, and I will have 15 pages in here again. So these are going to be my 2 pockets. This page, this piece of pattern paper is 10 by 7. So you're going to score at 5 inches along the 10-inch side. So I'm going to score at 5 inches because this is going to get folded in half. And that's going to be one of our pages. See? Now, because it's getting held together with a cinch, you don't really need to like glue it here. I'm just going to add score tape to my bottom here. And on my first one, I did add score tape to the side, but you know, I think that's overkill because your little wire binding holds it all together, right? So I'll close this one up. Just at the bottom. Although, let me do a small bead of liquid glue on the edge, just to be sure. Kind of make sure it's lined up. Now, I thought about putting a notch in these pages too up here, but I decided against it. That way they'll kind of just look like square pages. You could corner round them too. You could do a little corner round here, but I'm going to leave it straight. So that's one page. Now here are the 2 pockets I'm going to do on this page. This one is 4 by 6. And if I score it 1/2 inch on each side, let me make sure before I start scoring. If I score at 1/2 inch on each side, it should make it that this is 5 inches wide, which is what this page is. So I will score this one. This will be our bottom. Oh, that's our top. So 1/2 inch. And really, you don't even have to do pockets this way. You could cut it to the dimension you need it and then just put either score tape or a real small line, a bead of liquid glue along 3 edges, and that would work just fine. Okay. I just think it makes for a sturdier pocket somehow. I don't know, maybe that's just in my head. All right, and notch this before I forget. And miter corners. Sorry if I get quiet, guys. I have to focus or I'll inevitably make another big boo-boo. You're welcome, Shay. Anything I can share that I learned, because, you know, I've been crafting my whole life, really. But I've been doing focus more on paper crafting for probably a good maybe 10 years. And I still learn new things from my fellow crafters that I didn't have any clue about. Okay, so let me get my other pocket ready. So this pocket will go on the bottom. And then I want to be sure, okay, do I want the pocket on the front of this page or the back of this page? Because the side where I joined it with a liquid glue, that's going to be the side that the cinch goes on. So this would be the front. So if I want this here, I want to make sure it's on my front. So that's going to be my front page. This is going to be my, no, that's going to be my back. I thought about it after. So this piece I cut at 3 by 8. And I'm going to score now because I want it here. I'm going to score here, 1/2 inch. So 1/2 inch on 3 sides. So I have to kind of be mindful of which side of the page I want my pockets on, so that I have them in the right direction. Okay. Right. And this, once I have all my folds, should be the right height. So it should be 7 inches tall. If I'm off a hair, it's not a big deal. Okay, and again, mitering these corners. All right. Oopsie. And then here I'm also going to put a little notch. I don't have to, but I am going to. It just makes it easier when I'm placing things in my pockets. There we go. And more score tape. So in case you missed me saying it earlier, I'm not going to finish this today. We'll get as far as we can get in 1 hour, because I do have to finish up relatively close to 11 o'clock. So many things to do. Oh, you're so sweet, Froggy. See, I forget the YouTubey stuff. I always forget. I don't know. My brain just doesn't go to that automatically. Like, I should just have a sign up on my wall to remind me to say the YouTubey things, but I don't. Okay. So because this is going to be on the front, it's going to go on the side that will be cinched. And a little bit of liquid glue. But as I was saying, I'm not going to finish it today, but whatever we don't finish today, get any glue there, we will come back next week and finish up, if that's okay with all of you. So we'll have 2 weeks of cinching, or putting our little notebook together to cinch. And there's really, mostly it's these 2 style of pockets. There's a couple that I do a belly band on. I think a couple that I do kind of an angle pocket on. Like I said, I did all my paper selections and cutting ahead of time. Okay, so there's that pocket. So then I can flip to the back of this page and attach our little bottom pocket. My my son took me to lunch on Friday. He says, "Hey, Mom, I'm gonna take you to lunch." I'm like, okay. So we went to an early lunch, and he's so funny. He says, "Mom, where do you see yourself with your YouTube channel in 10 years?" And I was like, "I don't know. In 10 years, I'm going to be 67 years old. I really don't know." And he's like, "Well, have you thought about it? What you want to do?" And I said, "Son, I'm just having fun right now. So I really don't. I don't think about in 10 years. I just think about right now." And he's like, "Oh, okay. That works." Okay, so there's page 1. Now I could add decoration to this, to some of these. Like this has already this flower on the pattern paper. This doesn't really have anything, so I could add stuff there. I have amazing kids, Shay. They are rock stars. All my kids, this year is the 1 year that they will all be in their 30s, because next year my oldest turns 40. But they're all amazing, and my grandkids are amazing. my granddaughter also called and said, Grandma, I want to take you and Grandpa to lunch now that I'm working. I said, okay, I will allow that. Because, you know, we're used to just um, paying for lunch when we go out with the grandkids. But, you know, my husband said, let her do that. She wants to show that she's becoming a responsible adult. And I said, okay, I will allow. Okay, let's do our next one. And these are the same style of pockets. See, I used the same paper for both sides. I wasn't trying to get fancy. And you know what I am going to do? That bone folder that comes with this doesn't score quite as well as I'd like. So I'm going to use this little, whatever it is I got from Dollar Tree. Just kind of gives it gets in that groove a little bit better. Okay. And okay. Now, if you have directional paper also, you got to make sure your top and bottom are the way they should be. I don't think any of mine are really directional. I don't think. So we'll find out as we move along process. Oh, well, happy birthday to your daughter. Right? It doesn't seem, I tell them, well, you guys are getting older. I'm the same. I'm staying right where I'm at. I do. I have an awesome family. They are so good. They're wonderful grandchildren too. They take care of, you know, they check in on my mom and my mother-in-law, make sure that they don't need anything, you know. So they're really good grandkids too. So we are blessed. Very blessed. Okay, so that's gonna, this is gonna be the front of this page. This is gonna be the back. So front. So here's another thing. When you're putting your pages together, you've got to remember. So when this book opens up, it's gonna be like this, these two pages. So do I want another pocket of this style here, or do I want this style, you know, the up and down? And do I want it on this side? That I'm gonna do this style here. So I'll know that this pocket is going to go on the front of my page 2. So score at, oh no, this one I'm not scoring. So this one I'm going to tell you right now, friends. I had this scrap left over when I was cutting, and I figured, oh, I can just show them how I just glue it on 3 sides without doing the folds. So I'm going to do that with this one. I'm glad I read my directions, because I don't always read my own directions. So I have this very narrow score tape, and I'm just going to put it on 3 sides and just glue it flat onto that page. Okay, let's see here. And I'll also add a little bit of liquid glue just to make sure it sticks really well, because it doesn't have these folds. It won't have as much give as the other pocket does. So a little bit up, and I almost forgot my notch. I'll add my notch right now before I place this down. Are you guys over there screaming at me saying, Yvette, your notch, your little notch? Okay. And then you can place this down here. And a lot of times when I'm trying to get the edges straight on things, I will place my place my paper in something like my scoreboard where I have straight edges. Sorry. And that way I'm sure they're aligned. And if it's not aligned here on this edge perfectly, you can trim it, or it doesn't really matter because it's going to be on the part that's held cinched together, so you really won't see it. Okay, so there, see that pocket, even though I didn't do all the folding and all that business. And I could do the same for this, but I'm gonna do the folding business. So 1/2 inch on 3 sides. I have to be careful. This isn't super thick cardstock, so I'm trying not to press too hard, while at the same time getting a good enough little groove in there. Why do I keep going? Does it look like I'm going crooked to you guys, or is it just me? I think it's just me. Yes, we blink and the next season is here. I agree. I think as we get older, time just seems to go by so much more quickly. Yeah, weeks just fly by now. You're working a wheel. You know what? For me, most of my working career, the week didn't seem to drag on. I really enjoyed working where I worked and the people I worked with. For most of my career. The last 2 years, not so much. And those weeks went on forever. And those 2 years seemed to drag on because maybe because I knew retirement was so close. And I don't know, it just seemed to drag on. So yeah, before you know it, it's every week. It's trash day again. And I don't even want to talk about trash day around here. So around here for the city of San Diego, residents of the city of San Diego did not pay for trash forever. I don't even know for how long. Decades. Probably definitely since the last century. Excuse me. And city council thought it would be a good idea that we start to pay for trash because they apparently weren't able to balance their budget. So it then becomes something that they're going to balance somehow by adding a cost to us. Excuse me. Oh my goodness, I don't know what's wrong this morning. So we're going to have to start paying trash, but we're not going to have a monthly fee. They're going to just tag that onto our property taxes. And I told my husband, well, what if we just don't use their services for trash? What if we just go to the dump ourselves and take our own trash? But then we got this letter that says that we are required to have at least one blue bin, which is the recycle bin, one green bin, which is the yard waste and compost bin, and one black bin, which is the trash. So we can't get out of paying that. And that's going to total this year, because they already told us we're going to have a rate increase every year for the next 5 years at least. So that'll be added onto our property taxes. So that's going to add over $500 to each person's property tax bill, starting with our October bill. My husband says, what are we going to do? How are we going to retire? I forgot again. How are we going to retire? They keep doing this, and then our water rates are going up. And it's just like everything's going up. I told them, oh, we'll retire. I'll make sure we retire. See, so these 2 pages will be like this. So this will be the front. Then you'll flip open to this side. And then this is page 2, and you can flip over to that. I'm also thinking, let me know your thoughts. I don't have one of the samples, but should I put like little tabs here, that I could put sketch 1, sketch 2, and so forth and so on. So I have a tab punch I could use. Let me get a scrap of paper, show you how that would look. Excuse me. So let's say And you guys can let me know, and I won't do it until you all tell me what your thoughts are. But so this punches out my little tab. Then I just score it in the middle just so it folds nicely. And then line it up. You just put glue, and then it would be a little tab right here. And I could do a little label that says sketch 1 or just the number 1. Oh no, we're not happy about the trash. Oh, we have to pay for it. We don't have a choice. We have to pay for it. And it is what it is. I mean, I can't get upset about it. Doesn't do me any good. We're still gonna have to pay. So, and that's for only one bin. If you want a smaller bin, then so there's 3 bin sizes that they're offering. If you get the smallest one, it's like maybe $100 less per year, and then the medium one is like $50 less per year, and then the large one. Well, I need the large one. And then if you want an extra bin, an extra large, if you want a second large bin, you pay an additional, I don't remember how much it was because I told my husband we're going to make one bin work. So the joys of home ownership. Again, can't complain because at least I can own my home in San Diego. Most people can't afford a home in San Diego anymore. So I'm using this shade, came on late. I made one already, and I'm using this to kind of store my Kendra's Card Challenge sketches, and then any maybe papers I want in here or sample cards, whatever it is that I'm making. And so that's the only reason to put tabs, maybe to know if I want to flip to sketch 7, which one I could just find quickly. You pay for TV? You mean your cable? Your property taxes? That's weird. Huh. So even if you don't use it, that's not fair. Not fair at all. But, it is what it is. Oh my goodness, it's already 11, you guys. Excuse me, let's do one more page, just one more. So we can have at least 3 pages done. And what I might do off camera, you guys, I don't know, we'll see what my week looks like, is just do all my scoring before next week. I might not, who knows. So that we can just put this together next week. This one is this one the same? Yeah, this one I had used a scrap, so I can just put tape on 3 sides. What did I do with the little one? Here it is. But no. And I keep telling my husband, we should just cancel cable because I really don't watch TV, you guys. When I watch anything, I either watch YouTube, sometimes I'll watch Netflix, but that's about it. I don't really watch anything else. And the only reason we cannot cancel our cable is because he watches our wonderful San Diego Padres, and that has to be on cable, unfortunately. It's one of the channels that's on cable. So we continue to pay for cable for now. Satellite TV, Froggy? Yeah, I don't know. Our cable company is also our internet provider, and they're not the best, but okay, so this is page 1. Page 2, this is the back. So this side I'm gonna do the pocket over here, and then this side's gonna be this pocket. Okay. But yeah, I guess we just kind of go with what we have at this point. I mean, we don't have like all the extra channels on cable. We just have the basic, very basic cable. The bare minimum to be able to watch Padres. So we are loyal Padres fans here. Okay. Here we go. All right. Let me line this up. Okay. Oh, I didn't seal this, did I? Let me do that. So we'll have 3 pages done today before I sign off. And then we got to notice that our water rates are going up. Oh, our gas and electric is going up. My poor mother-in-law, oh my God, I don't know. We have to have her meter checked or something because it's just her and my brother-in-law in the house. And they really don't have lights on at all during the day, or, I mean, they shouldn't have a bill. Her bill was outrageous this month. And when I compared it, because I thought something's got to be wrong, when I compared it, it showed that she used 3 times the amount of electricity that I use in my household. Now, my house is bigger than hers. Granted, it's just me home all day. My son's here too, and he's using his computer all day because he works from home. But I don't know. Something's got to be wrong with her meter, or she's leaving something on that I'm not aware of. Whoops, I want to score on this side since I'm folding it backwards. So I don't know. We'll have to take a look at that. I told my husband, and he just about had a heart attack when I told her, because I pay all her bills. I told her, and she said, nope, it has to be wrong. That can't be right. And I said, well, they read your meter, and according to them, that's what it is. So I don't know. We'll see to get that handled. There's no way. There's just no way she uses that much electricity. All right, let's fold this one up. Get out of my way. All the things we pay for. All the things that comes with being a grown-up. That's why I tell my grandchildren, you know, being an adult is not all it's cracked up to be sometimes. You got bills to pay when you're an adult. Oops, I forgot to miter the tops of this one. Let me do that. And notch it. So I will notch this one. And miter this. I have to vacuum my carpet. All these scraps on the floor. And all this release paper on the floor. That's how I always get it. Now, the thing with this is if I put my pocket here, facing this way, now that I think about it, it's going to be kind of tricky to get my sketch in there. So I am going to put it on this side. Probably because I have my fan aimed at me. It's drying up. I should be putting this pin in there when I'm done with it. All right. Get this one on there and we'll be done for today. So I haven't scheduled all my lives for August. In fact, I didn't on my YouTube channel, but I'll go and do that today. And I don't know if any of you saw my D-stash on Friday and Saturday. I had to kind of split it up into two. I still have all my boxes available. If you're interested, go back and check out the replay, see all the stuff I'm getting rid of, which I'm sure my husband is thrilled with. Although maybe he's not, because he knows I'll probably get more stuff to replace it. I won't. I'll try and be good. Okay, so we have 3 pages done and our covers. Right? Why is this looking funny? Oh, I made this pocket wider, look. It's not bad. But I might cut the rest to make them more narrow. I like the more narrow one. Huh. Too late. Can I fix that? Let's see if I can cut that down. I don't like it that long. Okay. Paper trimmer. What did I do with my paper trimmer? All right, I am going to trim that down just a bit. So let me, right now it's at 3 inches wide from edge to edge. So I'm going to put it to 2.5. Hopefully get that cut just right. Get the tape off my trimmer. Put my notch back in there. And try and get it glued back down. Okay, there we go. All right, friends, we have 3 pages done. So this is page 1, page 2, and page 3. There we go. It'll be a pretty purple little notebook. And then here's my covers. And I have an idea for what I'm going to use to decorate the cover. But I'll have to see if it works because it's cut apart from that paper pad. And I don't know if it's going to be too big or if it'll fit. But when we get to it, we'll find out. What I did on my other one for the little decor piece is I just cut this using my Cricut and some vinyl and stuck it on here. So we'll see if that's what I do. Alrighty, friends. Why is everything shaking? Oh, I know why. I'll be back next Monday, 10 o'clock a.m. Okay, I'm changing my lives to 10 a.m. Pacific time so that I'm not racing home from the pool. And that way I have a little bit of time to set everything up and not be rushed. All right, friends, have a wonderful week. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you more than you know. Thanks a lot and see you next Monday. Bye.